Hello, everyone. Now, in this video, we are going to learn how to select a sample of several variables in SPSS for data analysis. And we are going to do this using the Health Information National Trend Survey, which is HIN 5 Cycle 4 data, which is, again, NIH-related data. So assuming you have this particular data and you have several variables, of course, usually HIN's data have numerous variables. Sometimes you have about 400 variables. And then you would want to focus on certain variables. But within that variables, you want to select some subsample of that variable. For instance, you might want to exclude missing data. You might want to exclude some non-response and others. So how do you go about that? So in order to do that, now you select data. And then even before we do that, let's just make a short descriptive for you to know what we are talking about. So for instance, let's perform some short frequency of, let's say you want to make use of health insurance and then general health status. So if you select these variables and then just look at the frequency. Now, if you look at the frequency under health insurance, we have -9, which is actually a missing data we want to exclude for our analysis. And then under the general health status, we have -9, -5, which represent missing data and non-response. We again want to exclude these values from these variables for our further analysis. And we would want to select these two variables at the same time by excluding this information we don't want in the data. So in order to do that, we go to data and then we select cases. Then we go to if condition is met, then we select if. So after selecting if, now we wanted to focus on these two variables, which is the health insurance and then the health status of the individual. So now we select health insurance and then we push it into this rectangular box here. And then what you should know is that even before we do that, let me show you something really quick under the variable view. Under health insurance, individuals under the health insurance. So, okay, that's this one. Under health insurance, individuals were to select from yes and no, and then the -1 represent non-response. So we go and then under the general health status, individual were to select from 1 to 5, right? So in order to do that, now you first of all have to know the range of the levels of that variables. So for health insurance, it ranges from 1 to 2. And then for general health status, it ranges from 1 to 5. So now let's go back. So if you go to data, we select cases. If condition is satisfied, then we now go to select insurance. So with health insurance, we needed the health insurance. So with health insurance, we said when health insurance is greater than or equals to 1. Then the next thing is what else data do we want to select? What is the general health status of the individual? So, and when the general health status, it ranges from 1 to 5, right? So we say it's greater than or equals to what? 1. So being greater than or equals to 1, it means that we are going to select all the data from 1 all the way to 5. So it will just pick up any data which is greater, which is from 1 and above. So now we go to continue, and then we go to okay. So now the data have been filtered into the data for the health insurance and then the general health status have been filtered into categories which only have the data of variables we would want to select. So let's go ahead and perform some descriptive or frequency to see whether indeed this data was selected. So now if you go to frequency, now most often you have this data here. So let's select it back into, let's select them. So we have insurance here, and then we have the general health status here. And let's perform the frequency. Now, what do you see in the frequency? You can see that the insurance is, we are only analyzing either the individual selected 1 or 2, which is yes or no. And then for the general health status, we are only analyzing when the individual select from 1 to 5, which is from excellent to poor. But previously, we have the non-response and then the missing data, which was included. So this is how you can actually select subsample of several variables in SPSS for further analysis. And if you can actually do this by selecting several other variables. So for instance, we can go ahead and make addition of several other variables. And to do that, once we are able to do that, for instance, I coded this one, so I can copy and paste. So these are all variables which were selected, right? So we have the ethnic belonging of the individual, we have the mental health status of the individual, that's the caregiving for mental health. We have the PHQ, which is the patient's health questionnaire which is used in measuring the depression status and stuff. So you can select several variables and then exclude all the non-response and then the missing data. And once you have done that, just by using and then you always have to know the range of the data. If you select a range in which the range doesn't fall within the data, of course, you are going to get some error and SPSS will proceed with the analysis. So now you can go to continue and then you go to OK. So with this, SPSS have filtered the data into a form in which you would want to perform your analysis and you can go ahead and perform. And then also just a quick information I would want to share with you. Now, if you go to the select cases, now, if you go to OK, what it means is that the data is going to be, you are going to just filter out the unselected data, which means you are going to have the same data file available for you for analysis. But then we can actually copy the selected data into a new data set. And to do that, we can just give any name, let's say my new data. So my new data. Now, once you're able to do that, and then we go to OK. Now, in other cases too, you can just delete all the unselected cases. And that one, you are going to have the same data file, but it's only going to delete the unselected cases. But usually you would want to keep your original data, just in case you make a mistake, you can still go for it. So let's copy the new data, the selected cases into a new data set, and then we go to OK. So now this is our new data set, which we have here. So this is the new data set, which we name it my new data. And now with this data, if you go ahead and then perform some descriptive frequency of that data, these were variables. We can select all the variables in which were recoded, and then you come and see that all those variables do not have missing data or non-response. So let's select some of them, not all of them. So, okay, so now push them here. We just want to perform a simple frequency. Now there's what you see. So now you see all the data. There's no missing data or non-response. And there's how you can select a bunch of variables and a subunit of that, a sub data of that variable for further analysis in SPSS. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.